What's up everybody, this is Happy to Game here. In this video I'm going to be talking about the first 15 villagers in Age of Empires 2, the definitive edition. Now more specifically, I'm going to be going into the small little details to help you understand why all of my build orders are kind of based off of this 15 villager build order. Alright, so let's get right into this here. Now to write this out really simply, right, first 15 villagers, typically you have 6. The first 6 villagers are on sheep, yet the next 4 is in wood. Then the very next one, your 11th villager, should be luring the boar to your town center, and then the last 4 to make your first 15 goes to berries. Okay, so that's just a simple quick version of the first 15 villagers. But like I said, I'm going to be going into a little bit more details on little small things that will kind of help you make all of this more smoothly. So you start off with 3 villagers and 1 scout. What's going to happen right away here is I'm going to select these 2 villagers and I'm going to build a, so we're going to build a house, and we're going to take this villager and we're also going to build a house. Okay, so we're going to quickly do that.
Yay. Bulden. Bulden.
We're going to take our scout here. We're going to bring in our sheep, hockey, your scout. And then what's going to happen is these 2 villagers here are going to go and start harvesting the sheep. And then, like I said, your next 3 villagers are also going to be harvesting the sheep. Okay, and as this is all happening, obviously you have your scout, and your scout's job here is to try and look for your boars and your resources. And obviously, as a beginner player, you're not going to be doing too much sheep scouting. So we're going to take that out of the equation here until you're a little bit of a stronger player. And what's really awesome about Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is that you can see here these little numbers at the very top right. It kind of tells you how many villagers you have. So right now we currently have 5 villagers, and they're harvesting. You have 5 villagers harvesting food right now. Okay, so really important there. So now we have 6 on food, 6 villagers. The next one is going to be on wood. Okay, so we're going to try and find a wood line, and right now the closest wood line is probably here, so we're going to probably build our lumber camp there. Make sure you're queuing up villagers at all times on your town center. And unfortunately, we haven't found our boar yet, which might make this a little bit difficult. So there we go, we're going to throw the lumber camp down. We're going to try and have 2 on this side and 2 on the other side of the lumber camp, if we can here. Okay, so there's our first boar. I was starting to get worried. We got 2 boars here. Perfect. So we have our 2 boars. We also see that there's deer. I'm also going to remove deer from the equation here, just because not every single map has a deer.
Yay. Ready.
Alright, so we're continuing our scouting to look for our resources. So we have 1 more on wood. So now we have that next villager going onto wood. So this is where things get a little bit hard, okay, for beginner players. And so this is why I want to pause this here. So the next villager is going to be luring the first boar. Okay, now first off, to use the hotkey so right now, if you just take the town center and just right click on a tree, it's going to put the rally point for the next villager onto a tree, and they will automatically start chopping. Now that is not the case for hunting. Okay, so if you're hunting for deer or for boar, you can't just right click on the boar. You have to actually press T or click on set gather point and click it onto the boar. Okay, so I'm gonna do that right now, and that will do it, or else it won't work. See, so this is me right clicking and it doesn't work. Okay, so remember to queue up more villagers. Alright. So I didn't find my sheep, which is why now my villagers here are idle.
Greeting.
But typically you should find your sheep.
Mandatum. Correct. Yours, Willem.
Yay, correct, Willem.
Now, while this is all happening, and this is why I said this is the toughest part in the first 15 villagers, is while this is all happening, the next villager that comes out is going to be going to berries, right? But before they go to berries, what you want to do, and this is my little change here, is you want to actually build 2 houses. And you want to build the 2 houses pretty close by to the berries so that they can go right to the berries afterwards. So watch how this is going to work.
Ready. Bulden, gatherer. Yay, hunter.
And everyone should be hunting this boar now.
Correct. Willem. Hunter.
There you go. Okay, and then your next villager here is going to build the mill.
Bulden.
And then your next 2 is going to go to...
Greeting.
It's going to go to...
Mandatum. Hunter.
To berries, okay? So I had to actually... So another tricky thing is sometimes, because when you're harvesting the boar, you need to do what's called a hard drop. So for your TC to not be idle, you need to make sure that you have your villagers selected. And I was about that villager, this villager here that just came out. If I didn't drop the food that they were harvesting from the boar, I wouldn't have had enough meat to actually build and produce another villager. So you have to quickly do that that little hard drop, and then once that happens, then you can queue up more villagers.
Ready.
Now this villager here is going to
Greeting.
it's going to go to the berries, and then I have essentially 1 more villager that's going to be going to berries.
Grayton.
Okay, and then when this boar is about typically close to half, that's when I'll bring in one of the harvesters to go and lure the second boar. Okay, so let's do that.
Yay.
So like I said, this part, that part right there was essentially the hardest part. And the reason why I build the second house right away is because I found that this is where I typically get housed. Which is essentially what housing means is you've hit your cap and now you can't build any more villagers or units, and you want to reduce that as much as possible. And I found that when I built 2 houses right away with this villager here that will go into berries, it reduced that significantly. Okay. All right, so here we're at our 15th villager. So you have, so what? So now you have 4 here, 4 there.
Ready, hunter.
You're gonna grab
Correctus. Yes. Yay, hunter.
one of the villagers that was collecting the boar to go and lure the second boar now. I'm just gonna move this sheep out of the way so that we can easily do this.
Yes.
Obviously, you're still building villagers as this is happening. I'm just explaining what typically will happen here. So yeah, so now you just lure that boar over and you're good to go. Now, unfortunately, with this example, like I was telling you, I did have some idle villagers earlier on because I couldn't find the sheep as quickly as I'd like to. But essentially, that's the first 15 villagers, right? So this part right here, the 2 houses, is kind of the small change that a lot of people might not notice. But if you're noticing that you get housed really early on in the game, this change right there is going to be really beneficial to you. All right, well, hopefully that video helps you out. If it does, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye now.